there's other things that, also that I think that good builders say no to, like, for example, shortcuts. So, yourself that you've had some maybe clients in the past that are like, oh, if it's a compliance thing, or if it's a proper approvals, or if it's, certain part of their works that, if they know that it's going to take more time or cost more money, it's, is there any way around this? Some clients have asked that in the past, and that's the good builders. There are those that refuse to actually take those shortcuts because it's protecting your home, it's protecting your money, and also your reputation as well as a builder. So it's important sometimes for good builders to say no to things that aren't going to be done right.
Thinking about building or renovating? Or maybe you are already knee-deep in a project now. Are you feeling unsure of which steps to take and if you are making the right calls? You're not alone. Welcome to Builders Beyond Borders, the podcast where experienced Aussie builders share real stories, insider tips, and practical advice so you can build with confidence, avoid costly mistakes, and actually enjoy the journey. Let's dive in.
Welcome to another podcast episode with Builders Beyond Borders. Got me, Louise from Perway Construction Services over here in the West. We have lovely Paul from Independent Building Solutions over in ACT, and Hugh from New Realm Homes down in Victoria. So today we are going to chat about why the best builders say no. Most homeowners assume that if a builder says no to a project, it's because they're too busy, they're too expensive, or they're not interested. But sometimes a builder saying no is actually one of the biggest signs that they're the right kind of builder, because good builders don't say yes to everything. I'm just going to put it out there, guys. What are some of the things or reasons why you might say no to a client?
Oh, who wants to start on this one? Because it's a fun topic. And I don't think that it's really saying no most of the time. I mean, I think we've all learned going by the things that we sort of do and some of the coaching that we've done, and it really comes back to we don't really want to be saying no. Nobody wants to be saying no, and in a lot of ways within our businesses we don't say no. But we point people in a direction that's going to be beneficial for them. And so while in our mind, we go back to the lovely two-letter word that is N and O, and it's probably one of those words that when it's said to people, the thing that happens inside them, that emotional reaction to, no, I'm not going to get what I want. And it's always a really big negative, is that, well, look, not everything that we do, we're not always going to be suited to what you're asking to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And if we were to go off to a restaurant, and probably the easiest one to be able to sort of put that comparison into is, do you go to a restaurant and let's say a French restaurant, and do you go in there and ask for pasta? do you go in there and ask for a lasagna or something like that? You're not going to do that there. Everybody has skills suited to a certain type of work or food. But the simple fact of the matter is that if there's not an alignment to the type of work or anything like that, there's going to be we think that this guy over here might be better suited to what you're going to looking to achieve than us.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like that, Hugh. It's definitely when clients first touch base with us, it's about checking to see if you're the right fit, and if we're not the right fit, we'll point you in the right direction. So it's about, exactly. You're not essentially saying no, but you're guiding the clients to go, okay, well, do you fit in with the budget? Does your budget, is it realistic? Does it fit in with the costs of how we do things within our business, or is the timeline suited to what, are we to our schedule? When you want it done, is it going to tie in with the current workflow that you have? Or is it, or whatever that looks like. And if it's not possible, you can have the choice of either waiting, or you can increase your budget, or else here's the route to find someone else that might be more applicable to that. So you're not actually saying, and you don't like saying no. I think it's actually one of the hardest parts for, and definitely Andy does a lot more of the initial calls with the clients, and it's one thing that he really doesn't like doing is actually saying, hey, actually, I don't think that we're the right fit for you. Here's someone else, and it's
But he's really good at saying that.
but it's
I'm
something.
joking. He probably doesn't enjoy it at all.
No, he doesn't. And he's like, and especially if, he's built a good rapport or something with somebody. But it's, it's again, you're not leading the client down a path where we know some builders do it, that they'll go, oh yeah, I can help you with that. And, guide them down the pathway where they're getting their designs, they're getting their hopes and dreams, they're building up their hopes and dreams, I suppose. And then, or underpricing to throw, knowingly that they can put on variations at some point, that there's some builders like that that sort of tarnish the name and are in the industry, that do those type of things. But, you're guiding them right from the start. You're being honest and having those conversations that you're not taking them down a pathway where they're spending their time, their money and their energy. It's earlier in the process where you can take the opportunity to say no. But in the sense of that you are just guiding them and being honest and realistic, and then putting them in the right direction, if that
Yeah,
makes
I
sense.
think no one likes to say no. I think it's because you feel like you're turning away work. But if it's not the type of work you want to do, then it's better that you turn it away than try and take on more than you can handle or do things that you're really not set up for doing. And I think that's where a builder who knows what he wants to do and has got a refined niche will be a lot better in that market and a lot better at doing what he does than someone who wants to just take on anything and everything that comes along, because you're changing, chopping and changing, and you're trying to do things that you haven't done before and things don't work out right. It's better to try and point people in the right direction. I think they appreciate that too. If you say, look, this is not really what we do, this is not the sort of work we like to do, and
Mm.
give them the name of a couple of people that can do it, they'll appreciate that. They'll understand most of the time. So, but yeah, from our point of view, that's just that saying no to work. And when you sort of start out in business, it's very hard because you sort of want to get as much work as you can, or you want all the work because you want to try and get things up and running. But you soon realise that you can only do so much, and trying to do too much is usually worse than not having enough, because end up everything going wrong. You can't keep your finger on everything. You can't oversee it all enough, and it just starts to slip, and the quality control all starts to slip. Everything starts to slip. So,
Mm.
and that's when everything goes bad, doesn't it, with your relationship with your clients? So,
Yeah, I definitely think that. And there's other things that, also that I think that good builders say no to, like for example, shortcuts. So, you know yourself that you've had some maybe clients in the past that are like, oh, if it's a compliance thing, or if it's a proper approvals, or if it's, certain part of their works that, if they know that it's going to take more time or cost more money, it's, is there any way around this? Some clients have asked that in the past, and that's the good builders. There are those that refuse to actually take those shortcuts because it's protecting your home, it's protecting your money, and also your reputation as well as a builder. So it's important sometimes for good builders to say no to things that aren't going to be done right. And another big thing for us is when Andy, I know that when Andy says no, it's sometimes he has that gut feeling that the relationship won't be the right fit. And, he can tell, you have a certain energy about you, and you can feel a certain energy from a potential client. And because, the journey of a home build or renovation can, be sometimes a number of months up to a year or more, that you want that to you want to have that good relationship with someone. And if or you have that feeling, because everybody has it, you have a feeling if you meet someone, you're going, oh, don't know about them. Or you have a feeling and you really click with someone, and you're like, oh my God, that we've had it before. You're like, I would love to work with that person. How can we do it? How can we manage a way to be able to work with them? Because the relationship and that is really important, and to making sure that you are the right fit, because it's protection against yourself as the builder, but also protection for the client and protection for the team, that you're not going to enter into a project where there's that feeling of, you're feeling anxious maybe about speaking to them, or you're just not getting the good vibe that, you don't want that for your client either, that if they haven't had a good connection with you, that you're going to be rocking up onto their side every day. And if they're, they're not, or communicating with you, that they're like, oh, here's that builder again, or here's that trade, or I don't want to speak to them on the phone. I think that's a critical part as well of making sure that builder can say yes or no from the start.
And that's important too. And I think because it can be a bit hard because you feel like maybe you're being rude and you say, you're not really saying, well, I don't like you. But I mean, I guess in a way that's what it is. But that's quite common in personalities and different types of people. And there's
Yeah.
sometimes going to be those sort of clashes that aren't going to work. And if you can pick up on that early enough, it's going to save a lot of grief down the track. Say, look, I don't think we're right for each other. This is, not going to work out for us. And give
Yeah.
them the name of a couple of other guys that you think might be better fit for them, then it's going to be better all round for everyone down the track.
Yeah.
If you've got to go the right way about it, you can't you're not going to say, oh, I don't like you, so I'm not going to work for you. I just feel like we're not going to get along properly. I just feel like we're on a different page. Things are not sort of gelling really well here, and I think we're not a good fit. So
Yeah. And they
you
can
have to
have
have that conversation, don't you?
and then, like, it's like their personality might fit in so much better with another builder. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it might not, might not be anything to do with the scope or with the budget or with the timeline. It might not be anything, but yeah, somebody's personality just might be in line better with someone else. You know what I mean? And then how much of a better experience is that client going to get with gelling with the right builder? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's exactly what you said. Like sometimes you'll click straight away with someone and sometimes you
Yeah.
won't. And everyone's different. So there's going to be people that will work well together and people that aren't going to work well together. So learning to pick that up and understand those differences is a pretty important thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
it is.
I mean, so yeah, people are just sometimes on a different page, aren't they? Like some people just have a different understanding to things. Some people don't have any idea how the industry works, so they
Mm.
need to have full trust in someone. And if you feel there's someone that's not going to have full trust in you, it's going to be hard to work with them. But if then you get the opposite of people that don't really know anything about the industry, but they want to talk like they do and pretend they're an expert and try and make out that they're going to oversee you and make sure you do everything right and you're not going to rip them off and you're going to do someone like that is obviously someone no one wants to work with,
Yeah.
because those people are, just very difficult all the time. And especially when they're going to be wrong with
Mm.
everything they're trying to tell you and everything they say. And oh, you should do like this and you should do it like that and you should do it this way and that way. And well, no, you don't. I mean, I had a lady a couple of months ago ring me up panicking because her kitchen was going in and the timber floors hadn't been polished and sealed. And I said, we don't polish and seal the floors until after.
Very end.
Well,
Yeah.
we need them polished and sealed under the kitchen. I said, no, you don't. Why would you want to do that? Because then you're going to have plumbers, electricians, air conditioning guys, carpenters, the guys putting the kitchens in, the stone masons putting the stone tops on. You have all those people and all that traffic on your brand new floor. That's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
She said, oh, I didn't think about it like that. So that I explained it all to her and then she understood. But, so that's the sort of thing you can come up against. I guess that's just a recent thing that comes to mind. There's
Yeah.
probably a lot of stories like that if you think back about it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I remember not so long ago actually, a couple of clients, Andy had gone out to an on-site consultation, but he said, the wife, and we always ask for the key decision makers to be there. And the wife, then the husband came out and was like, "Oh, I'll just leave it to my wife. She's the main decision maker. I'm going to be, in my office working." And Andy's reiterated, "No, actually, I need everybody to be here." And the husband then was got a bit annoyed about that because, he was just like, "Well, I'm not going to be really here to be talking with you throughout the project. Just leaving it with my wife." And then that was a project then we said no to because it was too much hard work at that point, at that really early point, to just even have a normal dialogue, have normal communication with one of the key decision makers, even though he said, "No, it's my wife." But we know that throughout the bills, sometimes the other person will come in, and it's not always just about one person. It's like well, even if they're not making the decisions on what the design might like, or what, the colors are being chosen, but they might have the financial decisions. So it's making sure, or even just the communication with that. So it's making sure that everybody is on the same par from the start. And it's yet not just good energy with one person, it's actually with the both. It's that feeling when you walk into that house or into that meeting, that you have a good connection. So Andy said, sorry, we weren't the right fit. You'll have to, and he's given a list of other builders that they can contact. But, I feel like that there's a few red flags with some people that you just go, no, too much. That's going to be too much hard work for the team. It's a protection mechanism for Perway, for the entire team, not just the office team. It's also for the site team. That we have that, Andy's job is to protect us from people that may cause more energy. it may be harder to work with down the line. Yeah, it's just, that was just one example, and we've had to say, and not, no, in the sense of where budget doesn't align with expectation, and it's like, people want all the bells and whistles. Some people want all the bells and whistles, but then they don't have the budget to match that. So, we're not magicians either. So you can only do with what you've got. So it's about just, giving them avenues of, you've got this budget, we can do, you can either increase your budget or you can decrease your scope of work. But some people are just not willing to make those compromises either. So, there's nothing more we can do. So we have to say, here's another avenue. You can do it this way, or, we've had, over the years, there's been a number of clients like that. What about you, Hugh? Have you got any examples that pop into your mind?
I think that some of the lessons over the years have been more about allowing some of those projects sort of within the business that we should have been saying no to.
Yeah.
And when you sort of get those lessons, you end up with some pain.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I guess you could say, after experiencing that, that's the times when we actually start putting our foot down, I guess you could say. And we do turn around and we do, I guess, as you say, protect not only ourselves and the business and the people within our business, but in a lot of ways, I look at it as though we're protecting the clients from themselves.
I agree. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As well, because there might be something that just does not align, and protecting somebody is saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're pretty good points, because I think back about the only times I've sort of had problems with projects, and it's usually been related around that. It's usually people that want everything and can't afford it, like really living out of their means and spending money they can't afford to spend, and because that puts a lot of strain and a lot of pressure on you financially, and that, of course, can do the same to the relationship, and also the same as having a meeting initially and only working with the guy and never meeting the wife until the job started, and she turned out to be a really selfish, very unhappy lady, and everything was wrong. She just caused us nothing but grief, and he's too scared to stand up to a sort of thing. We had that issue once with. So, and I've actually had that recently with the guy I was talking to, and he said, "Oh, my wife is not as easygoing as me. She can be a bit, she complains a bit more. So I've got to try and make sure I keep her on track." And I said, well, we need to make sure I get to meet her, because I need to talk to her. I need to build a rapport, make sure she's happy with me and I'm happy with her, because I've got to have to work with both of you. I can't sort of work with you on all this stuff, get this all costed and go through what you want, which is all I've done, is gone through what he wants, and she couldn't be there. And I said, initially I would have liked her to be there, but something happened, I forget. But I said, well, before we proceed, we do need to sit down and have a talk to her and get to know her, and like I say, make sure she's going to be okay with it. I can just explain the process to her, because it's very inconvenient. It's very life disruptive. It disrupts your lifestyle, having your house extended and renovated. There's noise and dust and people invading your privacy, invading your home. There's mess. There's a lot of inconvenience. It's huge.
Yeah.
So you've got to make sure that people understand all that. So if people have been through it before, it's not so bad. But if they've never been through it before, it's really important, isn't it, to make sure you explain all that stuff, because once it starts to go downhill, it'll just go downhill even more rapidly by the day until it gets really out of hand.
Yeah. And it's good that, even for you to have those conversations, Paul, and even, it's good to be aware of that too, because even with that client, if you did end up working, going down the route and doing a project with them, that them potentially, that's that really, the wife's personality is like. So if you can see or feel, you can feel someone's energy, you've got the skills to go, oh, hey, I noticed that you're, feeling a bit, you seem to be a bit, out of sorts today. Is everything okay? So you're nipping things on the bud as well before they actually escalate and, sort of get out of hand, and a mountain gets built out of a molehill as well,
That's right. Well, you can bring that up straight away. You can say, remember that conversation we had before we started? I explained all this to you, and that's right. And you just got to also make sure you explain them. If you're not happy about something, you need to tell us straight away. Call
Yeah.
me straight away. If I'm not there, let me know so we can make sure we sort it out before it does fester into something a lot bigger,
Yeah. No,
which is what will happen if it's not addressed.
yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. So, yeah, just a closing thought then, really. The best builders then say no because their yes has to really mean something. So when they say yes, they want to know that they can deliver the project properly, communicate clearly, support their team, and protect the homeowner and stand behind that finished result. So, for homeowners, that's the real lesson. Don't just look for a builder who is available. Look for a builder who's honest enough to tell you when something isn't right. So, yeah, that's a good chat today, guys. So thank you, and to all our listeners, hope that helped, and we will chat to you on the next podcast.
Thanks for tuning in to Builders Beyond Borders. If today's episode helped you feel more prepared, clearer, or more confident, share it with a mate who's planning their own build or reno. Got a question about building, renovating, or working with tradies? Send it our way. We might cover it in a future episode. And don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you never miss the real stories, practical tips, and builder insights we've got coming your way. Everything shared on this podcast is based on our experiences and those of our guests. It's general info only. Any reliance on the information provided is done at your own risk.